Subscribe here, comment your life here, stream here, cry here, know I'll be right
here. Welcome to the 290 Mo podcast. I appreciate your time. If you could, introduce yourself for my viewers and listeners.
Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Treasur, a.k.a. Treasur Necole, your favorite Scorpio, host of the Inside the Chest podcast, housed at 290 Mo podcast. So it is a pleasure for me to be here talking to you. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing your intellectual property, you know what I'm saying, along with you. And that's kind of what we're here for today. I'm pretty sure people have seen, you know what I'm saying, the media coming from your platform that I've been sharing on my platform. So I thought it was good to get you in here just to talk specifically about that for people who may be wondering exactly what it is that you're sharing and that I'm sharing. So if you could, let's start with your background in podcasting, in radio, and internet media.
Yeah, so I had got my start in internet and radio media with Urban Grind TV. I had got my start there about 2.5 years ago. Going on 3 years. Time flies. But yeah, I started up there. I kind of worked my way up just as far as kind of being like I actually started as a guest that they were interviewing, as an artist that they were interviewing. And then I knew some of the former hosts that was there. So I was like, hey, like, what's the process to kind of be in that position? And they kind of gave me the directions, and I went forward and doing an audition tape, and I went in and I kind of killed it from there. And inside of that, I ended up forming my own show, which is an extension of what Urban Grind was doing, called UGTV Girl Talk, where I had a panel of women there and we talked about everything under the sun. And it was just different opinions from different personalities. So it definitely was a jump start and for sure prepared me for what you guys are going to see coming up real soon.
Mm-hmm. Now, was that your first interview when you went up to Urban Grind?
No, it was not. By the time I went up to Urban Grind, I had been interviewed tons of times because I was being interviewed because I was an artist. I was a singer. I am a singer, a writer, and an actress, model, etc., etc., etc. So they were interviewing me upon those things. And when I got there, I had already kind of inquired about kind of getting behind the camera in a different way, using my voice in a different way. And radio was definitely something that I was interested in. So it kind of went from there. It went from me being interviewed at the show to me auditioning to be a host on the show, to me being a host on the show, and to create my own show. So definitely was a process.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Definitely a process. And let's get into that process a little bit. So what was your role once you got into Urban Grind? Like, what was your role? What was the experience like? What did you learn? And is it something, you know what I'm saying, looking back on that you enjoyed, or what's the where does that relationship stand at this moment?
Mm-hmm. Well, initially when I got in there, I was kind of like that female face, and I know a lot of women in the industry. You guys can kind of relate to this. Sometimes when men have their shows, or men come together, or it's the ratio of men is higher than women, you always want to appease all audiences. So you kind of bring that feminine energy in, but also that person who can relate to the guys, who can talk transparent in a transparent way to both sexes and relate to both genders in different kind of ways. And so I think they kind of just needed that little spin, and I was that spin. And I think after me, they kind of saw what needed to be on the screen, and so it kind of attracted even more ladies who end up being an important part of my show. So again, it all was just being in one spot, kind of climbing to the top from there and seeing everything around it work out just the way you envisioned it. I think it was a great a great start. Now, as far as where I'm at with them now, I do not have a relationship currently with the company now. However, I do still have I still have the material and the episodes for you all that want to look back and see where it all started. I would encourage you to still go over to the YouTube channel and type in Treasur Necole, type in UGTV Girl Talk, and see where it all started, so that when you come to Inside the Chest podcast, you kind of know where it was birthed at, right? So, interesting story.
For sure. What's some things you learned, you know what I'm saying, at Urban Grind, or just some things you learned while working at Urban Grind, or things you developed that you intend to bring to Inside the Chest?
I think one of the key things that I learned at Urban Grind was I was already really good with my words because I had practice, as far as writing. I've been writing since I was in the single digits. My dad is a pastor. My uncle is a pastor. My mom is very smart. She's in the medical field, and so my vocabulary was already. I was already exposed to a very a variety of vocabulary, and so. But when I went in there, I learned how to more so talk to people, because I feel like in the position that I was in, the only people that I would be talking to would be the people that kind of were interested in what I was doing and what they could gain inside of talking to me, rather than the shoe kind of flipping and me talking to different artists about what they're doing and kind of seeing how I can correlate that into my story, if at all. So I definitely learned language, how to talk to certain people, how to move around different personalities, but I definitely learned even more comfort of how to be in front of the camera, because singing in front of the camera is different than us talking like we're doing now. And it's levels to this shit, pretty much.
For sure. So, you know what I'm saying, the Urban Grand chapter is done, and now we're on to Inside the Chest.
We are.
For the listeners, for the viewers, give us a synopsis of Inside the Chest and what. Give us a synopsis on Inside the Chest.
Yeah, so Inside the Chest is it's like I was gonna say initially that it was my baby, but really when I think about what my baby is, I more so kind of relate that to like my first song or my first role on TV. But if we're talking in that lane, as I'm speaking out loud, I would say this is my baby. This is the Inside the Chest is a place where we're kind of escaping reality, right? Because when we go into social media anyway, it's like we're hopping into a portal. It's like we're hopping into a world where we see the things that we want to see, or we type in the things that we want to hear about. And I think Inside the Chest is just one of those portals where you can come and you don't feel like you're being compared in any way. You don't feel like you're being judged in any way. You almost feel like someone is reading your mind. And we're talking about the things that maybe a lot of people talking about, but in a more candid way, to where it's like it's more intimate. And on top of that, in between our conversations, we are showing new music, showing new avenues of what we're doing, because it all comes together. And so it is a podcast based on religion, music, and relationships. And when I say relationships, I'm talking about man and woman. I'm talking about spirituality, as far as what you're attracted to, who you're attracted to. And then even when we go deep inside the music, that's where it all starts for me. So that's going to always be the foundation of what it is we talk about. Plus, fun fact, all the episodes are R&B song titles. So it's just a gumbo filled situation that tends straight to the heart. And so I'm excited about it.
For sure, for sure. Now, while you was explaining that, I heard you say "we" a few times. So, if you could talk to me about some ways that you plan to engage with your viewers and listeners.
So what I want to do with my viewers and listeners is I want them to feel like it's their show. I want them to feel like it's not just my show. I'm not making all the decisions. And that's where social media, again, that's where it comes in at. Because when you guys see different clips of episodes coming out or episodes coming up, and you may have questions about certain things that I'm talking about, or you may have thought of a certain idea by listening to what I'm saying, I'll be reading that comment and I'll be putting that inside of the episodes that may be on the way. And it's going to get to a point where I want to have guests eventually. I definitely want to have guests. Every time I talk about the podcast, they like, well, can I be on it? Absolutely. We're definitely going to extend it to where we can get guests on there too. But for now, coming in, I'm going to be reading you guys' emails. I'm going to be reading the questions. I'm reading the comments. And I'm going to make sure that it's almost like it's being answered in real time. Yeah, we know these episodes are coming out every week. So there are things that we kind of previously planned as far as conversation. But when I start to read you guys' comments and you start watching the episodes after that, you'll see, hey, I'm being heard here. If nothing else, I'm being even though I may not agree or disagree, even though I may not agree with because we may not always agree with what each other are saying, we can still challenge each other and learn from that. So I think that's what's going to separate me from all the other podcasts. That's all.
For sure. That's dope. Also, you know what I'm saying, with doing a podcast, you know what I'm saying, it's a lot of podcasts out right now.
Yeah.
What's some ways you plan to set inside the chest aside from everybody else?
Yeah, so that's just kind of like an extension of what we were talking about. I do, the number one thing is I want them to be involved. I want the comments that they see on the internet, they be able to see kind of reflection of that on those upcoming episodes, as well as I want to bring people on here, and not people who agree with me. You know, you want to bring different kind. Even though I'm an R&B artist, there's not just going to be artists coming in. I want to talk to entrepreneurs. I want to talk to people that are doing things maybe different from me, and we can learn from each other. Because when we go inside the chest, we're literally talking about what's in our hearts, and it can be, our hearts have unlimited room to place different things. And so I think we all have like a unique mix of things going on inside of us, and inside the chest is gonna just be that place where it can be expressed in a really dope way.
Okay, for sure. That's dope. So, if you could talk to us about the release schedule, how often can we catch it, where can we catch it, and things like that.
So the premiere of Inside the Chest is going to be on July 7th. 7/7 at 7 p.m. is the premiere. And after that, it's going to be weekly. It's going to be something that you can catch on a weekly basis, something that you can get used to, right? And every season, and I'm manifesting that it's going to be a bunch of seasons, right? So every season, we want to bring a new ingredient. Like I was telling you guys, that new ingredient on what I manifest to be the second season is going to be bringing some of your favorite people from the internet on the channel, and then even going further than that, going on a podcast tour. I mean, I'm telling you guys, speaking it is the first thing, and as far as where you can find it everywhere, which is such a beautiful thing. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and you can also follow the podcast social medias on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
That's dope. That's dope. When doing the podcast, will there ever be a time where we might get some live content, you know what I'm saying, coming through, or everything always be scheduled releases?
No, yes, we do want to switch it up. Now that kind of goes back to what you asked me a couple questions before about what is it that's going to separate me from other podcasts. I definitely want to go live, because when we talk about being intimate, and being such an intimate podcast, you kind of want to do things in real time so you can get that real emotion. It's not something that's cut out or edited. Now, I'm thinking as I'm speaking to you right now, so there are gonna be different ways that we do this. I know, even going back to, if you guys look on my personal Facebook at Treasur Necole, you'll see that 290 Mo had mixed a song that you'll hear in between the episodes of the podcast. And so those kind of live streams and just coming through and letting y'all kind of really see the process of what's going on and being able to comment on it, I think it's going to be real important. And I think we're definitely going to get that in.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely got a lot of content
Oh my
associated
God,
with
so much.
it coming. Going back to the fan engagement a little bit, you touched on responding to the comments, making it feel like it's in real time. For anybody who may want to get in direct contact with the show or with you, what's some ways that they can reach out to you?
Yeah, so, and by the way, uh, those who do watch the show and those who listen to the show or take time to comment about it, you are officially a chessmate. And you'll know what that means when you start looking at the show. A chessmate is what we're calling each other when we're in this space, when we're in this safe space. You know, when you walk into a book club or you walk into practice at a basketball team, you guys are known as one name, right? And so that's what I kind of want to do in this podcast. So yeah, we're chessmates. As far as what was the question?
Jesus Christ, why you
I
gotta
know.
do it to me? The best way to contact, you know what I'm
Yes. So
saying?
the best way to contact us is email. It's email. And everyone has an email, right? We all need emails to navigate through daily life. So you can contact us on the email at insidethechesspodcast@gmail.com. And we're going to spell chess, CHESS, but everything else is true to its spelling. Um, and in that email, guys, you can literally ask me anything, right? Because what you ask me is going to help me shape the show. And I'm not nervous about saying that because I know you all can definitely get creative in your minds. But I'm ready to see it. And I'm ready to see who it is I'm talking to every week.
Okay. So if I'm jumping the gun, just let me know. So
Sure.
if I'm not mistaken, you said the first season is R&B titles for every episode.
Mm-hmm.
For season 2, are we keeping that same theme? Are we going with a different genre? Are we going with the astrology? Like
Oh.
or am I jumping the gun?
No, you actually are opening up my mind because I never thought about I hadn't yet thought about um the second season being a different genre. I did definitely want to keep that song title aesthetic with the title of the episodes because I think it's just something that we can attach to. You can be like, girl, did you see that Back at One episode? Or did you see that Truth Is episode? You know, I think it's just such a conversation starter. And so I definitely want to keep the song titles. But switching up the genre is super, super brilliant, and so that just might be what I'm gonna do. But right now we're sticking to the R&B in season 1 for sure.
For sure. Any personal goals for the show? Like, are you big on the analytics, or is it anything you're trying to accomplish? Like, any personal goals headed into the premiere of season 1, or is it just a vibe? Are you just testing the waters? What's it like heading into the premiere that's quickly approaching?
So yeah, emphasis on quickly, and so I'm definitely testing the waters when it comes to me holding on to my own show individually because as I told you all in earlier in the interview, when I did have my show on my former network, it was with 4 women. Sometimes it was with 3 or 4 women. It was with a group, and it's different when it's like going solo. It's like going solo, and so it's definitely gonna be. We definitely gonna grow in it together, and I'm just excited to show that human side of me because I feel like, yeah, I've been inside the industry for a while with different things that I've been doing, but I think one thing that's been kind of missing is people knowing where the music comes from or where the drive is from or where that will to keep going, where does that come from? And I think in Inside the Chest that'll show that kind of where that motivation kind of lies, you know. Did I answer your question?
You did.
Okay.
You did. This kind of is an overall question. Kind of goes into the fan engagement a little bit too, because you did kind of say they can ask you anything. But as far as the show and the topics go, is it any guidelines? Is it certain topics? Is it censored? Is it uncensored? Is it filtered? Like, what's the age range? What can we expect? What's appropriate to ask? You know what I'm saying? Things like that.
So I think the age range, it just all depends on your comprehension level. I could sit here and say that yeah, my podcast is 18 plus, but if there's a 16-year-old girl that's trying to watch this and get some advice on certain things in maybe a puppy love situation or whatever the case may be, what we called when we was teenagers, I don't want to stop that person from relating to what we're doing. I would definitely gear it towards the more mature audience, just because some of the things that we talk about kind of comes with experience. And I think that kind of experience kind of happens naturally within the more you are in age. But again, that depends on the person. And so I can't really say age-wise. But I want to gear this toward, because I mean, I can say this until my face turns blue. I'm a preacher's kid, right? So even when we talk about the spirituality thing, it's going to be coming from somebody who has had that kind of knowledge poured into them. But at the same time, I can be down to earth, and I can, it's not just, one of those things where I feel like you're watching the news and yeah, this is that. No, we're going in about these things. And I'm not sitting here telling, of course, we're going to keep it, it's not going to be a super rated X situation, but it's going to be some grown folks talk. And so whatever questions and comments you guys have, for example, if you say, like I was asking earlier, I had asked this question earlier, can you be in a relationship with somebody and not talk to them every day? If you all were to send me a question like that, I would present that in my episodes, and I would want the mass to answer that, because I'm not perfect, so I'm not going to always have the right answer. But maybe somebody else that's listening will. And so that's when it's going to all come together, communication and connection, for sure.
For sure. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming through.
Thank you.
And sharing this information. With the premiere quickly approaching, I want to get you in here. I think it's a dope show, so I really want to do my part as much as I could to promote it and get it out to the masses.
Yeah.
Before you go, if you could let everybody know where they can follow you, where they can follow the show, and all the good information.
Yeah, you guys can follow me at Treasur Necole. That is, I always feel like Usher Raymond when I do this. That's TreasurNecole. That's on Facebook, Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, wherever it is that you're active. As far as Inside the Chest, you guys can email me at insidethechest@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at Inside the Chest Podcast.
Like I said, I appreciate you coming through. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
In a minute.
In a minute.
Gang.
Gang. Peace.